Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Gaming Podcast. Once again, I'm Bradley, and theorising that one could time travel within his own lifetime, he stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. He awoke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey is Brad, an observer from his own time who appears in the form of a hologram and can only be seen and heard by him. And so Stu finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong and hoping that each time that his next leap would be the leap home. How you doing, Stu?
Oh boy. Yeah, not too bad. That was very good. Takes me back.
These intros are getting a bit silly, but hey.
Yeah, but you know, in service of a good joke, can't complain.
Yes. I only done that because I was someone mentioned Quantum Leap the other day, and I was like, I loved Quantum Leap. Because they got it confused with something else. Talking of leaping around, you can leap around in many video games. So I'm going to segue into what have you been playing, Stu?
Yeah, so I have been playing a game where you leap around, and it's a game that's got a lot of hype already, even though there's only a demo, and that game is Sable.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're riding a hover bike through the desert.
Yes, through the comic artist Möbius's imagination, basically, because they've completely used his style, which is totally valid, because A, the guy's dead, and B, there aren't any other video games that have done it. Not exactly. I mean, you know,
and he can't sue anymore.
Exactly. So you know, yeah. What are you going to do? Hey, what are you going to do, Corpse?
Well, it's the same as I'm going to start using the McAfee name everywhere now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Topical.
Yeah. Did he die of a virus?
I don't know. I just heard he died in. Oh God! There we go. I've just ruined that. I've ruined it because I was like, no, I think he just died in prison. Oh dear.
That was a very tasteless joke. I won't worry about it. So
it can't be as tasteless as my royal family joke a few months back.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah. But, going back to Sable before we get sued by the families of the dead. It's a very beautiful game. It's like quite amazingly beautiful, really, in that way where if you think of like Cuphead, where they've clearly had to put dozens and dozens of hours into making the engine work in such a way that the filters work properly and the animation works properly so that it looks like a cartoon. Sable is kind of it's been drawn in a way that complements that Möbius style, and it has a heavy line filter on the outside of it, and that's enough. It was just the thought to do it. Is just as impressive as the implementation, really. Which is all well and good and lovely, but the game itself, the demo is just quite average, unfortunately, I have to say. So it's kind of Zelda-ish, just do a bit of exploration, get sent on little fetch quests and stuff like that, and it's kind of like Journey mixed with Breath of the Wild, but nowhere near as interesting as those comparisons would suggest. I really hate to say that because it's gorgeous to look at, and it looks as though it's trying to avoid the pitfall of your only interaction with the world is through violence. It seems to be a very sort of neutral thing where you collect and you jump and you explore, but you don't necessarily smash and destroy. So I'm hoping that the full game introduces enough stuff and enough intelligent bits of both platforming and puzzling to make it better than the demo suggests. But that's where it is at the moment. Yeah.
So my whole thing on Sable is I saw, I think, one or two trailers and went, yep, I'm done. Don't need to see anything else. I'll play this full game. I don't care about demos, anything. I'm going to play it full game, going completely fresh.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with demos sometimes it can really sell a game. Other times you feel that with a demo they need to hold so much back so as not to ruin the game itself that you feel maybe it was better off not putting out a demo because it doesn't show you enough of what the game is. Do you feel that's the case here?
Yeah, I think it could be. There's some. It's also obviously very early because there's some standout bugs, quite glitchy stuff with the jumping and invisible barriers and invisible walls and stuff, and to do with falling. So they've clearly got some work to do. So, I mean, the temptation to put out a demo so that you get all of that attention must be so powerful, and
especially during the E3 weeks of the following. Yeah, I take it's in the next Game Fest or Steam Next Fest, whatever they called that whole demo drop thing.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. Yes, definitely part of that. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on it. It's one of those where I'm biased towards it. So unless it gets actively negative reviews, I think I'll probably pick it up anyway because I want to support it. I would prefer it if it gets really positive reviews, but even if they are average, I'll probably buy it anyway.
So, I mean, it's a tough one, really, because I know when Hades first came about, it was getting some mixed reactions. I know that much. And then obviously we know what happened with Hades in the end.
Precisely, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've still, if I was a betting person, then I would be putting this down as gonna be in a few Game of the Year contender lists, based on what I've seen of it. And we'll see. Hopefully the demo is just a small slice of what there is. And hopefully, I mean, you said that maybe it's a bit bland, the demo, so it's a case of tempering expectations, maybe, the demo, so that when you play the full thing, you are hit with the full grandeur of it. Grandeur.
Could be.
Try and get my French in.
Yeah, it could well be. Yeah. Giving enough of a taster to make you interested but not spoiling the whole game must be such a hard balance to strike. So completely open-minded, and it's very, very beautiful, and there's nothing stopping you playing the demo. There is for you because you want to go in fresh, but to the audience, I mean,
I'm very gone on the I don't touch story driven or games that are gonna be trying to be something. I try not to touch a demo. If it's something like a racing game or like Tony Hawk's, like probably my most famous example of back in the PlayStation era was I rinsed that demo, absolutely rinsed it. I think I played the demo more than I played the final game. Those I'll play. If it's something that's story driven in any way, shape or form, I tend to try and avoid it because I don't want to play it over again. Or I know a lot of demos now carry over your progress and stuff like that, but it's like, no, I want the full experience in one. But I've heard yours is probably not the first slightly down on it opinion I've heard, but most I've heard have been, oh my god, I've touched it, it's done enough, I can't wait to play the final thing, with a few people going, oh, not what I was hoping for. So it's kind of mixed, but I'm still excited for it.
Cool, as well you should be. Yeah, I think it's going to end up one of those things where even if it doesn't change the world in terms of gameplay, there'll be enough fresh stuff in there to have real merit. I mean, I don't think of, let's say, Flower as being one of the greatest games ever made, but
experience.
I am really glad I had that experience, even though it's not really a very good sort of in inverted commas game. So
and even if it's not very good, you'll just leap into the developers' bodies and fix it. So,
Oh, boy. What have you been playing?
Another game that actually involves quite a bit of leaping around, actually, because we'll keep on theme. I've been playing the Switch version of Worms Rumble. Now, I played initially the PC version when it very first came out. I want to say earlier this year, but again, time has no meaning. And that's not just keeping in theme with the Quantum Leap thing. Time at the moment, the last 18 months just has no meaning at the moment. So it might have been the back end of 2020, might have been early 2021. I can't remember. But Worms Rumble, I played it on Steam, really enjoyed it. But as is the nature with these things and what we do, I kind of bounced off it after a few weeks, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed it. Now, for me, I jumped back into the Switch version. like putting on a glove. I understood it all. A couple of new maps in there, and yeah, really enjoyable for me. However, speaking to other people, Steve who writes with us, he has played it on, I want to say, on Xbox, and it's all cross-play. And he said he got into it and was absolutely just rinsed in cross-play by people who have obviously sort of been playing this probably non-stop since it released.
Yeah.
And I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, it's Worms aesthetic. It's a battle royale, 2D battle royale game where you leap around the map. It's not turn-based, it's just full-on death matches and things like that. A few little tweaks and stuff like that. And last one standing wins. Now, I say I really enjoyed it. I got back into it really well. However, going on what others have said, including Steve, there's a few issues that I think are going to hold this back. Now, one of those is there doesn't seem to be any matchmaking. He's going in level 1, level 2 against people who are sort of like way up there on the levels that are clearly experienced in this game.
Right.
And doesn't seem to be any proper matchmaking, which he thinks could well be down to lack of players. Which I agree with. I think if you've got a big battle royale game, you need thousands upon thousands playing it to get some decent levels of matchmaking going. Now, what I think holds this back is that it's a pay-for game. You've got to pay now to get entry to it.
Right.
Now, you had on PS4, you didn't, because it was part of PlayStation Plus, I believe. And obviously on Xbox, it's Game Pass, so it might sort itself. But on Switch, you've got to buy it.
Yeah.
And then cross-play on Switch compared to others, I think you're hampered a little bit. I don't know, because I'm playing this slightly visually impaired at the moment. So I don't know if it's my performance or whether it's a Switch impairment.
Uh-huh.
Which was the case with things like Apex Legends and Fortnite and stuff like that. You struggle being on the Switch compared to those. And we noticed that because, again, with the Fortnite on the Switch, if I was the lead platform or the leader of the group, and my son was playing via his Xbox, he would just rinse absolutely everyone, and we'd win as a team because we was against Switch players. So I think there is a bit of that. Now, if you're making a battle royale game, I don't think you should be doing a paid entry into it. I think it has to be free to play. And then supported with a battle pass.
Yeah.
As much as, we don't like that in paid for games, yeah, this shouldn't be a paid for game. I think it needs to be free to play. But I see why they've gone for paid for entry, because I think free to play is such a negative connotation to it. I was going to compare it to something, but I don't think I will, because it's kind of making out the thing I was going to compare it to be not as major as what it is, so I won't. But I think it's such a negative connotation to free to play that some people just want to avoid it. When your team's 17, who have got such a good reputation, I think they want to avoid it, which is a shame, because all in all, Worms Rumble is still a really fun game and I'm really enjoying it. But for brand new players, yeah, I think the paid for barrier to entry with getting rinsed by level whatever it is, people playing it, can possibly suck some fun out of it. So, but it's a tough one. I don't want to dump on it because I'm really enjoying it. But I was in there from the very beginning. But it is something that others might struggle with, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a Worms game. I don't know who it's aimed at. It's not a Worms game that traditionalists have played or would like. So, new people probably don't really care that much about the Worms brand.
Precisely.
I don't know. It's like 3D.
Yeah. I mean, like we said last week, you've got to be very cautious about where you land in the market, and what device you land on. And if you're going for Switch and you're going for that kind of IP and there's so much competition, it would be better to you have to be very careful, especially on the Switch, where you're already paying for the online functionality in a way that, you're not really for, like Game Pass and the PS Plus are such more of a value add than what they provide on the Switch, that then having more of a barrier to entry on top of that, bit dodgy.
And then when you look at Tetris 99, you can pick games out in that still within seconds.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a fun game. I enjoy it. If I was reviewing this and giving it a score, I'd be giving it a good 8 out of 10 because it's fun. But it's kind of like you look at things, I said, like certain Splinter Cell releases where you look at DMC, Devil May Cry. They are bloody good games. Hitman Absolution, it's a good game. Just not good games in their franchises. And this is... maybe this should have been made with a new IP or something. Could they have brought back, I don't know, Micromaniacs from Codemasters and used that in some way? I don't know. I really enjoy it, but I can see why Worms fans are put off. I can see why you people might be put off. It's one of those games I think we're going to look back in years to come and go, do you know what? It was a good game with the wrong IP at the wrong time.
Yeah, and that seems to happen a lot more with online games than it does. I mean, there are dozens that have been left by the wayside that are probably absolutely fine, and if they'd built a player base, they could have developed into something brilliant. But for one reason or another, they just landed at the wrong time or at the wrong price or on the wrong format, and they were buggered.
Yeah. If you can get it, play it on Game Pass. That's what I can say. I don't want to get rid of like potential sales for Team 17 because again, as a publisher, they deserve whatever they get coming to them in a positive way. But I would say at this time, dip your toes in on the Xbox Game Pass version. If you really like it, then support them on the Switch. Yeah, it's a very, very good game. Just need to get over, I think, the first couple of hours to get used to it and accept you're going to lose.
Yes. Yeah.
So, that's my first game. What have you been playing apart from leaping around in... I forgot what you was playing. That's ADHD.
Well, don't worry, I'd forgotten the name of it. So, it's Sable. Yeah.
Sable, yes.
So, on the advice of some guy, I'm not sure who, I picked up the Solitaire Conspiracy.
Oh, I wouldn't play that game.
No? No, not for you, no?
No.
Garbage?
Please tell me more. Please tell me more because I love that game.
It's absolutely fantastic. I got it really, 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 really cheap because I had £2.50 credit and it was already like ludicrously cheap at whatever it was, $7.99. Yeah. So for £5.50, I mean, goodness me. So I'm not going to even just bother describing the game because you did it only a week ago. The only thing I had is that, just thought it was great. I was immediately like, they should do like a proper physical version of that. And then I thought, do you know what? Managing all those decks of cards would be a right blooming nightmare.
And how'd you get Greg Miller around your house?
Yeah, that would be good. Get him to do his BMX in the corner.
What did you think of Greg Miller's performance, by the way?
To be honest, I didn't watch much. It seemed quite good, but I don't watch a lot of cutscenes. I tend to skip them. So, but it seemed all right. Yeah, so it's just fantastic. It looks great. It's really clear. Like you said, the instructions could be a little bit more, transparent, a bit easier to follow, and what the various factions' powers are. It's a little bit awkward, sort of flipping in and out to see what they do, and the way that they're described isn't that clear. Going through all that makes it sound like I'm really down on it, but I'm not at all. And there's a lot of nuance, considering that there's only a few factions, so basically classes of cards. There's a lot of nuance with it, and you get to really mess with that. Yeah, I mean, goodness me, for the price alone, it would be worth it. But even at full price, I'd probably pay it. It's one of the best of that kind of game I've ever played, I'd say.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting this, and what people need to understand. This was never put out as a full game. This was a short.
Yeah.
It's a Mike Biffle short. He's done these before, and it's grown since it was its initial release. It was just a short time waster in a way, just an experiment, and it puts many other games, especially big AAA games, to shame in its production quality. It's the way it takes you through the game, but it makes the story worth a damn for me personally. and the mechanics, the way it introduces mechanics. Said, yeah, we talk about that it could be maybe some more ideas of what each faction's doing, because it can get a bit on top of you. But I'm going to be quiet because I'll go on for another half hour about it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a designer who clearly knows, like, not just good game design in terms of like the ludology, the play mechanics, but also in visual design,
Yeah,
because it draws you in, because it's fantastic, and the theme around it is great, and for sure it's just one of those that transcends its initial spec, and I would be really surprised if there wasn't a full sequel. I mean, I know that he's added lots of extra DLC and additions and stuff, but I would be really surprised if there wasn't another release, like a full release sequel.
I'm going to argue you there. I don't think there will be, and I don't think there should be. Yeah, Mike Biffle. Right. He's very much a one and done. He's not followed up Thomas Was Alone. Done John Wick Hex. I don't think there'll be a follow-up to that. A couple of his shorts, there was but not as such. I think he does an idea. He goes, right, that's it, I'm done with it. I don't think he rams an idea into the ground. And yes, I can see why people would want a follow-up and a more in-depth version of that game with, maybe smoothing out some of the mechanics a bit more. But at the same time, as an experience, I think he's done with it, and I don't think a sequel could do it justice. So, as much as it's one of those where I'd love to see it, I also go, I'm happy if he leaves it at that.
Cool, yeah, no, fair enough. Well, if they don't, then I really hope that they bring out lots of DLC packs, because I will happily buy them.
It's got daily runs. Yeah, I want to support him. That's the thing. I'd happily support anything Mike Biffle puts out. I don't know. Let's do a Thomas Was Alone crossover. Greg
Why
X
not?
Thomas, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's lightning in a bottle, this game. Mike Biffle seems to do that. I know a lot of people were down on John Wick Hex, for example, as a thing. But tell me a better John Wick game. And yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
that shouldn't have worked. It did. Volume was amazing as well. It's when you show people Thomas Was Alone, you showed them John Wick Hex, you showed them Solitaire Conspiracy, and go, that's all the same developer. You kind of go, no,
nah.
What?
I know.
It's not like my other favourite developer, Sam Barlow, where you look at a Sam Barlow game and go, yeah, that's a Sam Barlow game.
Yeah.
You kind of can't look at a game and go, that's a Mike Biffle game, unless you're just doing it on quality. He's so many good ideas, and I can't wait to see what he does next, full game or short. And the fact this came straight up, like within weeks of John Wick Hex, is just amazing that he was able to produce that and a high quality title like John Wick Hex as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Can't wait for his next thing.
No, yeah. And can I have that one for free as well, please, Mike? I can't stain you. That's what all the kids say now, isn't it? I can't stain you any more than what I'm doing now.
I've not heard that one, but then I am old, so
apparently, when you stan someone, it's, do you know Eminem's Stan?
Oh, Stan. I thought you were saying stand. Yeah, like stalk. Yeah. I know that one.
I mean, I like Mike Biffle so much, I've put his pregnant wife into the boot of a car and I'm going to drive it off a bridge.
I would walk that one back a little bit, because that could really get you in trouble.
Well, clearly I'm not. I don't even know if he's got a pregnant wife.
Yeah, you do. She's stuck in the back of your car.
She's stuck in the back of a boot, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Dido.
Dido aside, what else have you been playing?
I don't even know how I can segue that. Well, yeah, if I have driven his wife off the bridge in the back of a car and it goes wrong, I can always have another go at it, just like a roguelike. That'll do. Yeah, that'll do. I've been playing Roguebook, which is... Right. I know you don't play a lot of deck building games. They're not exactly your genre. But you've heard of Slay the Spire and Monster Train and things like that, yeah?
Yes, I even tried Monster Train because it was on Game Pass. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
everyone else who's into any kind of deck building or roguelike knows Slay the Spire. It's the pinnacle of the deck building genre, shall we say, the roguelike deck building genre. Now, Roguebook is by the devs of, I'll pronounce this wrong, I've heard some people pronounce it Fairy, I pronounce it Fairia, which was a deck building fantasy style game, very much like Slay the Spire in a different environment, but also by the Magic the Gathering creator, Richard Garfield. Now, obviously, everyone's heard of Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Which started the whole deck building thing, really. And just to clarify, may not have started it, it definitely popularised it. We'll say it that much. Just his name on it made that, intriguing to this. Now, it takes a lot of the elements of Slay the Spire, Monster Train, any deck builder, and it does those really well. It's kind of instead of having this point-to-point map that you go on where it's predetermined, you can just choose a route. It's kind of got this open map with hexagonal spaces that I open up further the more you do and stuff like that, which is interesting. So it's not as linear as Slay the Spire in terms of its progression, and it is still roguelike. So every time you sort of go back, you get a new map that is randomly generated. And where this differs is, instead of taking like one character that you choose into battle, you kind of have two. So you have like a front and a back mechanism as well that can be attacked. So generally the AI opponents will attack your front one, but you can use someone from the back to then be a tank at the front and defend and stuff like that. And obviously each character has their own card set, and you've got to consider the synergy between them. And there's like, I want to say 6 characters you can choose from, and you take 2 into each run. So it's done like that. So synergy is important, not just between individual card decks, but how they synergize between characters as well. And then there's these gems that you can get that you can then put into cards to upgrade them in certain ways. So it's got its own sort of like currency system, all internal, nothing sort of like pay to win. Although there apparently was some controversy over DLC, I didn't get that personally, but I think I started playing it after that was all fixed and sorted out, apologised for, and what have you. But yeah, it's got its own internal currency, so as you win, you get some currency possibly, and use that for gems and upgrade the cards. Now, I don't think it's as instantly playable as Slay the Spire or Monster Train or other games in the genre. So for anyone who's never played before, I don't think you're just going to jump into this and just go, oh yeah, I get this. I think you need to have played something a bit easier to understand first, such as Slay the Spire. But anyone who's played those will get plenty from this. There was a bit of pushback. It is early access still, I believe. Or it might not be early access, but it's still being tuned. It's kind of one of those type things. But I'm really enjoying it, just not as much as Slay the Spire. But then that, for me, is still the pinnacle of this genre. But it's got lots of good hooks. I liken the back and forth, so the back and front defending and attacking, to what you get in Steam World Heist. No, not Steam World Heist. The other Steam World game
Dig?
was a deck builder. No, not Dig. It was a deck building version on the Steam World game. Yeah, it wasn't Heist because that was a turn-based type thing. I can't remember. It was a Steam World game.
Quest,
yes, Steam World Quest. Well done. Good Googling on the fly.
Yep. No, I was checking my notes. Honest.
Yeah. No, you've played it. You know exactly.
I played everything. Me. Yeah.
So it's got a bit more of that about it, or Darkest Dungeon, the way that uses like the back and forth type thing. So maybe a bit of that in there as well. More leans towards that, but yeah, it's really enjoyable. Needs some balancing for me. I will go back and play more of it. It's not the best in class, but it's good enough.
Cool. Yeah, no, I was actually on the internet because I wanted to see Roguebook. I wanted to see a video of it because it's passed me by for some bizarre reason. I'd not even heard of it. It wasn't even on my radar, which is odd for such a big release from such a luminary as Garfield is, kind of thing. Not that Garfield, not the lasagna Garfield.
Well, he might hate Mondays as well.
Yeah, he probably does. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it looks really pretty. Visually, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, you can see. I don't know if you've seen, like, when you look at screenshots, like, you can definitely see the Slay the Spire-esque influences. I don't want to say influences because I don't want to say Slay the Spire, inspired Richard Garfield, for crying out loud, when Richard Garfield probably inspired Slay the Spire. But you can see elements of what Slay the Spire is based on what Richard Garfield has probably made with Magic the Gathering, and how that's then come full circle into this. I suppose it's all there.
Well, yeah, and he'll have come up with the concept and then handed it over to the the programmers who have just gone, yeah, well, this art style's popular, let's use this.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Slay the Spire, which I don't know very well, and it's nowhere near as pretty.
No, Slay the Spire is not a pretty game. Well, it is, but not as pretty as this. It's, for me, mechanically better. But opinions and all that, and arseholes and everything, yeah. That's why we don't score games. But if I did, Slay the Spire would be getting a 9 out of 10. And Roguebook, I would probably give an 8.5 out of 10. 8.9, I don't know. It's just slightly not as good as Slay the Spire, but it's still bloody good.
So this is why you don't normally do scores, you see?
No, because scores are ridiculous. Because one is technically better than the other, in my opinion. Both are brilliant. How'd you score that? So yeah.
Exactly.
Scores are rubbish. Roguebook's decent. Not as good as Slay the Spire. But, again, your mileage may vary. I know some people who prefer this, based on what I've looked around the internet, just to make sure I wasn't completely off with my opinion. I always like to have a little look and go, at least I'm not going against the grain. And that's how I found out about the DLC controversy. And I'm still not quite sure what it was. It apparently made it easier for some people, but it's not a competitive game, so...
Weird. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It balanced right to me. I didn't get confused with my ADHD, which is a good thing. So it must have the mechanics must be technically sound as well. So yeah, all good.
Awesome.
So this is only a short one this week, due to timings and stuff like that. But one thing I do want to touch on I suppose the mental health side of things is guilt when it comes to gaming. Now, you're aware of my stance on Ubisoft, Stu, yes?
Yeah, very much so.
And I won't buy their games. However, I was kindly gifted Scott Pilgrim, which is a game I absolutely adore, and I put off buying, but I was gifted it, and I didn't want to say no, because that's mean, and I do love the game, but it's an Ubisoft game, and I refused to buy an Ubisoft game, but it was gifted to me. So I kind of had to do... you can almost hear in the way I'm describing it there, the conflict I had in my own head over this game. And guilt. I kind of... Do you know in The Simpsons where Homer's got a lobster that he looks after and it dies, but he's eating it and he's crying but really loving it? Yeah. I don't condone Ubisoft, and I'm not going to suddenly start buying the next Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs or whatever. But I don't know. I really love this game, but it was gifted to me. And
yeah,
what do I do, Stu?
As far as I'm concerned, that's absolutely fine. I mean, the general maxim is there's no ethical consumption under consumerism. There's no way you can be completely whiter than white. You can't engage in a society that's essentially corrupt, which is what the Western world is, and stay completely pure. All you got to do is just set your own ethics and stick to them as much as possible without being a hypocrite. And I think that's good enough, to be honest. And you've not given them the money, but somebody has given some money that the developers, who probably deserve the money, will be seeing some of. So swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those. I mean, have you ever had anything like that, like in the entertainment industry, where just you're guilt racked or you're just guilt ridden by something, but still want to consume it and enjoy it?
Only every other week, Oh my God, just about everything. everything has some sort of problem with it. There's only a tiny selection of really small developers where there's not some sort of issue, whether the main developer guy turns out to be a pedo, or they're stealing money off their
massive
fan base,
racists, homophobes,
huge racists, sexists, everything, and that's the problem. When they go over a certain size, they're going to be dealt with like that, and that doesn't mean that I just hand wave it. Unfortunately, in my case, it means that I fret over this stuff quite a lot. So it's a constant problem.
Yeah, and it's the easiest one for me to get rid of, and it's gonna be a shame because the game looks like it's gonna be good, but it's like I won't touch anything Harry Potter. I was never, I enjoyed the films, to be honest with you. They was fine when I watched them, but screw J.K. Rowling. If she never earns a penny again, then good.
Yep.
But but then you kind of go play to Warner Brothers are supporting her. How far do you take your boycotts and stuff like that? Because do I boycott Warner Brothers because they're supporting her? No. I must say I'm okay with EA and their practices because I'll still play their games. And some people will look at EA and go, no, they are the worst of the worst. Obviously they were the worst company in America. 3 years on the bounce at one point?
Yeah.
Which is fair play.
That's impressive. Yeah.
You've almost got to applaud that level of Call of Duty. I'll still play Call of Duty, and Bobby Kotick's the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
In a financial point of view, a capitalist point of view, he is absolutely the worst. And you kind of look at where do you draw that line. We go beyond that. I absolutely will not touch the Sun newspaper or anything around it. But I'm not going to, condemn someone else who lives in Essex for buying it. I don't think anyone should buy right-wing papers as it is for any of them, but people do. I won't take advantage of their bloody holiday deals, which is a shame. I wish someone else would actually do a decent holiday deal, because I have little money and it'd be nice to go on holiday in this country.
Yeah.
Go to Alton Towers for like a £5, but nope, not via them. So it's a tough one, but it's when I let guilt get hold of me way too much, and then sort of it's like going, I want to play and enjoy this game, and I can't. I'm not going to enjoy it, but I want to because I love the game. And it's just you just go in your head constantly.
No, it does make you think about it, and it just it shows that you're a decent human being. I would say that it's slightly easier when the product itself is a pleasant one. It's much easier with the Sun because everyone behind it's a monster and the product itself is absolutely monstrous. Do you know what I mean? If you buy that, you've really got no excuse, and there's lots of products like that. You get into real murky areas with stuff like food, particularly meat. I'm not even going to touch that one, but I
still shop at Tesco's, and I'm sure there's probably some unethical practices going on there. And
exactly, but you have to draw the line somewhere. You can't just torture yourself with this stuff. No. But I think if you can sort of make sure that you don't directly support companies that are awful, if there's any way, like if they have a competitor whose product you can use instead, or you can get that product second hand so they don't receive any of the money, then do it if you can, but if you can't, then don't worry about it too much. That's my advice.
Or sit there rocking for a day and a half because you don't know how to feel. That's my advice, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
But it is nice and easy when it's just like a single developer and they turn out to be a massive racist whatever.
Yeah.
Then you can go, I just won't play that game. That's easy enough to avoid. But when it's Scott Pilgrim's a weird one because it wasn't initially part of Ubisoft. It was like it was on Xbox Live Arcade, and I can't remember who published it or whether it was just like independently published anyway. But then obviously the re-release, Ubisoft got it and they're just publishing the re-release, and it's just like, I don't know. So you kind of got nothing's just simple.
Nope.
If Yves Guillemot could just hurry up and clean house and resign and whatever and step down and let someone else take over, it would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Yes. I do wish that there was, and this will be my final point on this, but I do wish that more companies would think about, staying on their own and not selling out, or combining with another smaller company, because it seems to be, the dream to make your company large enough so that it sells. And I'm just like, well, that's just purely about money. Whereas you could do it so that it's still about money, but it's also about the creative ideal, and just do that by marrying yourself to, like a Devolver or somebody like that instead of an EA or an Activision.
Devolver, Curve, Team 17.
There's dozens,
any of those.
Dozens, just do that. You're not going to have as big a payday, but you're still going to be driving a Ferrari at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yes, because all the independent games developers are driving Ferraris.
Yeah, that's all that
in their bootleg copy of Outrun.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what they're aiming for. Yeah.
Yeah, they're driving a second-hand Fiat, possibly at most. But,
most of them.
Yeah, see, I don't blame them. I get why developers do it. I'm not going to go on about it because I was going to keep this short, but I get why developers do it, why they go for the big payday, because they don't know where the next one could come from. But the Ubisofts, the Activisions, the CEOs, screw them.
Yep, right there with you.
And on that, you can leap in and you can fix it all.
Yeah, I'll have to think of how I can do that. Actually, to be fair, I have lots of ideas on how to fix it. It's just nobody would ever give me the opportunity because it would mean they get less money. So, Anyway.
Before we go, can we just finish that on, do you reckon Don't Nod should make a Quantum Leap game? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I suppose it would. Yeah, it'd work very well.
Now I'll let you finish. I'll stop interrupting properly this time.
Yeah, shut up you. There was also, I wanted to mention just before we go that I remembered the game I was thinking about last week, which was Not a Hero, when I was trying to describe it.
Oh, yeah, badly. That's brilliant, that game. I love that game. Completed it twice.
It didn't even make the edit, I don't think, in the end. So this will probably be pointless. But I was trying to think of a game name, and it was Not a Hero. So
yes, from Roll 7. Brilliant game.
Yeah, it's a good game. Yeah. So, as usual, follow us on all the socials, consume our content on YouTube, make sure you're following us on Twitter specifically, support us on Patreon if you can, or if you feel inclined, and or pay on coffee, and just, stop Brad's house getting repossessed, that sort of thing. And no, it's honestly, money wouldn't go towards that. I pay for that, I keep him in trousers and food and stuff like that. No, I don't. Really don't know where. I probably should. I really don't know where I'm going with this. But anyway, for the rest of you who don't have to, keep Brad in the style to which he's accustomed, have a great week, stay safe and stay sane.